Hello and welcome back to the Midweek Podcast. So I'm going to start today's episode with a little bit of a story, and it's going to be a story that you can use and leverage in your own business to gain more instruction. So it's a good practical story in the grand scheme of things. So a good friend of mine moved house a couple of years ago, moved to a property where they thought it could become their dream home. So it was only a three-bedroom home at the time, and they wanted to make it a four-bedroom home. They've got a couple of kids and all that sort of stuff, which is taking up more space, as you might imagine. So after moving the property, they applied for planning permission, which was actually granted. So they got good news, they got the plans through, and they could put an extra bedroom on the property. Now, they then went out to tender with local businesses to see how much it would cost them to extend their property. Now, I'm not expecting you to know and have your finger on the pulse about how much the cost of lumber and bricks are these days, but long story short here, they've gone up a lot in the last 3-4 years or so. In fact, since COVID, they're up about 40% on where they used to be. So it's hugely expensive these days to build any kind of new build property or extensions or anything like that at all, just because all the materials you need cost so much. So they got the quotes back in from the builders, and they were expecting £150,000 was kind of what they thought. They came back more like £250,000, and one even went up to £300,000. So you can imagine, squeaky bum time on their side of things, because they'd moved specifically to this property with the idea of extending that home and building an extra bedroom on the side of it, and then it could be kind of their forever home. So what do you think they've now done, bearing in mind that their sort of rate they're looking to pay to extend their property from a three bed to a four bed is £250,000? That's right, they're now looking to move house again. And they're looking to move house into a property that already has four bedrooms and can meet their needs from day one. This is going to be happening up and down the country, day in, day out. People are going to be getting planning permission for their properties to extend them, knock them down, rebuild them, whatever it may be, get the quotes back from builders and have a small heart attack when they see the number zeros on that quotation coming through. Now, as agents, we can take advantage of this effectively because we know that that is the current state of the marketplace. Now, if I was personally looking to extend my property, and even if I was going to actually go through and do the extension, the main things I'll be looking at is what is my property worth today? So as it stands as a three bed, for example, how does my property stack up in the current marketplace? And then once I spend £200,000, whatever the number is on the extension of my property, is it going to be worth as much as I think it's going to be in the future off the back of it? Or would I be better off actually just moving property altogether and just going to a purpose-built four-bedroom property, for example? Now, people are going to be thinking that up and down the country day in, day out. So you, as a local agent, have a real good opportunity here to reach out to those people and have a conversation and say to them, would you like to know what your property's value is worth today before you do the extension? And would you like to have an idea now as what it's worth once you finish the extension as well? Lots of people will take you up on this. And I'd imagine that lots of people also will get those quotes back from the builders once they get planning permission granted and will suddenly think actually moving house might be the better option. So where do we get this information from? And for those of you who don't look on the planning portal that often, it is a treasure trove of information for the local area. I know GDPR is quite a big thing these days, but the amount of information you actually see on the planning portal are tons of stuff, and full names, addresses, full reports, floor plans, drawings before, drawings after. There's so much information on there for you to look into and use. And all it really takes is a simple search. So go onto Google, type in your local council's name and online planning applications. And as if by magic, you'll be able to search by postcode sectors. You'll be able to search by planning application numbers if you know them already as well. And you can look at different areas in different parts of your patch and see actually what's going on in the property market with regard to extensions and people changing properties. As a disclaimer here, lots of them are not going to be of interest to yourself in any way, shape or form. Turns out these days you need to get planning permission to trim your hedge, basically. So there's going to be a lot of erection of sheds and fences and cutting down trees, of which you think, okay, that's just not of interest to myself. What's a really good thing to do as a first exercise is to go back and actually look through that planning portal, even for the last couple of years or so, and go back and see actually what people requested to do and what their plans for the future. Because if I knew that someone had planning permission, but I drove past that property on quite a regular basis and knew they actually hadn't done any of the building work, drop them a letter saying, I know you had planning application granted a couple of years ago, so you haven't done anything with it. What sort of your plans for the future from here? So it's going to take a little while to sort of backdate the database that is the online planning portal. But once you actually get to a level where you think, okay, I've gone through the last couple of years, for example, and I'm kind of up to date with what's going on, you can then just look over the last 7 days, last 14 days, and or even once a month, and just make it kind of like a monthly job, a weekly job, twice a week job, whatever it may be, to go through what's coming through on the planning application portal. And what you can then do with this information really easily is just write them a letter. And just a letter saying either, probably one or two options, either, congratulations, your planning application has been approved. This is really exciting news. Would it help you out to know what your property is worth today? And then we can look at the plans about what you're going to build in the future and estimate what it's going to be worth in the future and kind of see if it's worthwhile for you to do that. Or it's going to be a letter that's going to say, sort of bad news, sad face, you've had your planning application rejected in this time. You're probably thinking about what your thoughts are for the future. Do you want to try for planning again? Do you want to sell the property? Do you want to get a bigger home instead somewhere else effectively? So those are really the two messages you're going to go out with. Sometimes you'll kind of trip over a gem effectively, which will be someone where it says, demolishing bungalow to put 4 houses on there. Great, fantastic. Well, if you're a developer in that situation, one thing I most definitely want to know is how much my kind of investment is going to be worth once the properties are all built. Congratulations on getting those 4 houses approved on the site of XYZ house. This is really exciting. Would it help you out if I actually came round and looked at the plans with you and went through and put a valuation on the properties about where they expect to be in the future? I can also give you an idea with regard to marketing strategies, whether you should have kind of like a little show home, whether we give people the option of putting their own carpets in there and tile choices and whatever else it may be. So you can always become the expert in them selling their property because they'll be keen to maximize that investment as much as they possibly can do. I've got another friend who has literally just done that, actually. They've just knocked down an old pub, which was pretty much ready to fall over, and they've just finished building 4 houses on that site. Now, an agent called up about 3-4 weeks ago, probably a month or so before they're due to be finished. So they're most definitely out the ground. And bearing in mind they've been building for the last 3-4 months, they've had massive awnings on there of their company name, company phone number, mobile numbers for the business, all this sort of stuff. Not a single agent has called until this one agent phoned up. And they phoned up and said literally exactly that. Congratulations, I've seen you've started building these properties. They look really good. Do you fancy us coming out to give you an idea about how much they're going to be worth once you finish them in a couple of months' time? And I'll give you one guess who they went on the market with. It was the only agent they indirectly called out because they phoned you basically, and they have now gone on the market with them and they're on for sale literally right now. So there is a huge opportunity for you and your business, not only on a sort of core residential point of view for people looking to extend their properties and either get the planning permission or not get planning permission, but also from a development point of view as well. If you know what's going on in your town and you know what people are building properties, there's a really good chance if you have a conversation with that developer that you can get through the front door. And ongoing, that's fantastic business for you. If you've got one contact who can just hand you 4 properties for sale, thanks very much. That's a solid month for your business. But also that's going to be a two-way street as well, because if you can say to them, for example, actually, we can help you find your next property and we can help you find your next development opportunity, that's a really good relationship to have. If you're looking for some letter templates that might be able to help you out on that side of things, to help you message these people and get in contact with people who either have planning permission accepted, rejected, or maybe a bigger build project, and we've got a couple of templates on us with our free section and stuff of our website. Head on there. You can download them absolutely free of charge. Just download them and then edit them as you may find fit. Right. I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. Honestly, so much opportunity on the planning portal. You would not believe it. You just need to kind of put yourself out there and have a conversation with people who are doing these things in your local area. Hope you enjoyed today, and I'll catch up with you very soon.